This past week, Anthropic released a new Claude Code feature called Channels. It appears to be Anthropic's answer to the hype around OpenClaw, allowing users to interact with their Claude Code sessions via Discord and Telegram. In this video, I'm going to break down what Claude Code channels are and why you should care. As part of this, I'll walk you through an example channel that was provided by Anthropic, and we'll build our own together. Before we get started, my name is Damien, and I've been a software engineer for over 15 years. I've spent the last year and a half diving into AI tools like Claude Code and share videos on AI augmented software engineering as well as applied AI. Now let's talk about what Claude Code channels are. They provide a way to interact with the Claude Code session outside of your typical interfaces, such as the terminal, the browser, or the Claude Code desktop app. Instead, you can now interact with a Claude Code session via channels like Telegram or Discord. That means you can text Claude from your phone, and it works, against your actual code base and your real files. Claude Code goes from a tool that you have to sit in front of to a reactive agent that works while you're away. At the time of this recording, this is an experimental feature, and these are the only officially supported channels. Given this is an experimental feature, it's subject to change before its official release. Besides just providing another chat interface, channels provide a way for external systems to interact with Claude Code. For example, you can now send events to Claude Code via webhooks. So how do channels work? Under the hood, channels are an MCP server. The server acts as a bridge between an external system, such as Discord, and Claude Code. Events come in and can be processed or handled by the MCP bridge, and then passed into the Claude Code session. There are two types of channels, one-way channels and two-way channels. A one-way channel can be used to forward alerts, webhooks, or monitoring events into Claude Code to act on. This is what we'll build later when we pass a cal.com webhook event into a Claude Code session to have it do some research for us. A two-way channel is for things like chat interfaces. In this kind of channel, the MCP server exposes an additional tool to Claude to allow it to send messages back to us. Let's start by taking a look at the demo channel called Fake Chat by Anthropic. Before we get started, there's a few things to note. First, you need to have Claude Code version 2.1.80 or higher. You need to have the Bun JavaScript runtime installed. By default, the channels flag only supports the official plugins from Anthropic. It's currently only available to users on Pro or Max subscription plans. And finally, teams and enterprise orgs have to explicitly enable this feature in the admin settings. We have here the fake chat example that was provided by Anthropic. It's a quick example of a UI for chatting with Claude Code outside of the terminal. We're going to get started by installing this plugin, and I'll leave a link to this in the description below in case you want to try this out yourself. Go ahead and install that for my user. And we can see here that it was installed and it gives us instructions to reload plugins to activate. However, in this case, we're going to have to actually exit because we need to relaunch with a special flag. We call Claude --channels and pass in the name of the channel or plugin, which is plugin fake chat at Claude plugins official. If we go ahead and start that up, we can see that we have a new message waiting for us. It's listening for channel messages from the plugin fake chat at Claude plugins official. It's experimental. Inbound messages will be pushed into the session, and to be aware that this can carry prompt injection risks. If we run /mcp, we can see down here that there is a new MCP server added by the plugin called Fake Chat. Now, if we go ahead and we grab this URL, by default, it's running on 8787. And we can see here, this is the UI for a chat interface. Go ahead and open up the inspector so we can take a look at what's happening during the cycle. But if we go ahead and say hello world, we can see here that there was a message sent over the WebSocket. And now if we go over to the left, we can see that the plugin has sent that message into the Claude Code session. So one thing to note right now, I have to approve this tool use for it to actually reply back to me. Now, if you'll notice that the fake chat has no indication that there's anything waiting for me to do. So if you need to avoid any permission calls, you're going to have either have everything already approved properly or run in dangerously skip permissions. I'm going to go ahead and approve this, and we can see that we now have a message back to us from Claude Code into the web interface. We can also see that it came through in the WebSocket. I'm running this inside of my Obsidian Vault, so it has access to all of the documents inside of there. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to read through the note and paste that in and go ahead and hit send. And if we go and look at the terminal on the left, we can see that it's trying to read the file and it's creating its reply. and post back the actual contents of that note from my Obsidian vault. So there you have it. We have an example of using a Claude Code channel to actually interface through a web interface into the Claude Code session. Now let's take a look at another example. Here I'm going to demo a custom channel used to pull in webhooks. This is going to build off the example that I did in the demonstrative video, where we take in a cal.com webhook and pass it in so that Claude Code does some research for us. In this case, I'm not going to go through and set up things like ngrok or server. I've actually pulled down a fixture of a previous request that has come in, and we'll process that instead. The first thing to look at is going to be the cal webhook channel.ts. This contains the actual MCP server itself, and it's made up of two pieces. First is the instantiation of the MCP server, that's on line 7. We've given it a name, cal webhook. It has a version, 001. And then in the second argument, we define some options for the actual MCP server. It has some capabilities. Notice that we've enabled the experimental Claude channel capability, and we have some instructions. This is what you provide to the MCP server to instruct Claude Code how it should handle anything that comes through this server. So you can see we've given it some instructions indicating that it will receive cal.com webhook events as channel messages. When a booking requested event arrives, it should run the process booking skill to handle the full intake workflow. So I already have defined an agent skill, which handles the booking logic for me. So that means it's going to check my vault, see if that user exists, pull down some research on them, and add an entry into the vault. That's all handled by the agent skill. We go ahead and line 18 and connect that to standard in. Now if we jump down to line 20, this is going to be the web server that's hosted on 8788. It's accepting requests and has an async fetch definition. Here you can notice we're rejecting anything that's not a post request and returning a 405. We grab the body text from the request, and then we're going to make a call to the mcp.notification function. Its method is notification/Claude/channel, and we construct the params. So notice the content is going to be the body of the request, the raw JSON from cal.com. And we pass in some metadata. So the source as cal.com, we pass in the URL path that came in, as well as the request method. And then we go ahead and return a response OK. So now be careful with something like this, because as you note, this right now is passing the raw contents in from the webhook. So that means you could be subject to things like prompt injection. In a real world scenario, we'd want to verify the signature of the webhook to make sure that it's coming from cal.com correctly. The next thing we want to do is look at the .mcp.json file. This is a simple file which just defines what web servers this plugin is going to expose. And in this case, we're exposing cal webhook. It's going to run the bun command against our cal webhook channel.ts. Now, if you remember what I said earlier, Claude Code will only accept authorized plugins by Anthropic right now. In order to get around this, we can call Claude dangerously load development channels and the name of our server. When we first start, we're going to get a warning reminding us that this is meant for local channel development and that we shouldn't use this against channels that we've downloaded off the internet. So you can run channels to see a list of approved channels. But this is mine and I've written it, so I'm going to go ahead and trust it. And if we go ahead and run /mcp, we can see that the cal webhook server is now connected. In order to simulate this, I've pulled together a fixture of an existing webhook that had fired previously for a calendar booking. So we're going to go ahead and run curl with that request. And if we go back to the Claude Code session, we can see that the cal webhook came in, it triggered event, booking requested, and we can see the message from Claude that a new booking just came in, let me process it through the intake flow. We can see that the skill for process booking was successfully loaded, and it notices that it has the full contents of the webhook to go ahead and understand the intake, and will now run through the workflow that is defined in that skill. So this is going to go ahead and check the vault to see if an existing research already exists for this user. And if it does, it will go ahead and skip it and kind of give us the instructions. So in this case, it noticed that it's a booking from me, from what I tested, and is asking if I want to run the intake anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, so that we can just kind of see what that looks like in action. But there we are. We have an example of a channel for Claude Code. The demand for interacting with AI agents outside the terminal was clear. Channels is Anthropic's answer for Claude Code. Channels turns Claude Code from something you sit in front of into something that can react while you're away. Whether that's a message from your phone via Telegram, a booking notification from cal.com, or a CI failure from your deploy pipelines. The event lands in your session and Claude acts on it. I'll leave links to the documentation, the official plugins repo, and the demo code in the description. I also send out a weekly newsletter going deeper on Claude Code and AI engineering. There will be a link in the description below as well. If you want to see more Claude Code tips and tutorials, you can check out this playlist. I'll see you in the next one.